Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Q&A video day, yay. I did not think it was gonna take me this long to upload this video, so I wanted to do it last Friday before I went out of town, but then I didn't have time to do it before I left, so then I was like, okay, I'll just do it with my friend who I'm visiting on Saturday. She can ask me the questions, it'll be fun. And then my phone got stolen, so I didn't have a phone all day on Saturday, pretty much. And then Sunday, we just had too much going on because I was visiting her for her birthday. And then Monday, by the time I got home and like put away my stuff, I was just exhausted and could not do it. So here we are, it's Tuesday, and we're gonna finally answer some questions. But I ended up getting like the brand new phone, so my videos will probably be like better quality that I film now because my camera is gonna be like 10 times better. And I have so much more storage now, so I won't have to worry about my phone being dumb about storage. But anyways, I'm just gonna answer these the way that they were asked, like on my video. So if they're kind of like, if it's really unorganized, I'm sorry, but I didn't feel like reading them and trying to like put them in a way that flows good. So we're just gonna get right on in. Okay, so also if I say your name wrong, I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize because we'll see how this goes. Okay, so let's see. First question came from Jordan Fonts. And they asked, how else can you travel the world at a young age? So I'm not really sure, unless you just have tons of money you can spend on traveling. I mean, I know Pinterest has like some like travel hacks and ways you can like stay in cheap places and still go see like things for really cheap. A lot of people I know that travel a lot, they are like some kind of sponsor or like brand ambassador, and they're like basically getting paid to go travel and do all that stuff. So other than like being a pilot or a flight attendant or just like getting paid to go travel, I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm sorry. Jordan also asked about nose piercings in my last video about the interviews, and I answered that question on the video, but I'll tell all of you guys. So yes, if you're going through the hiring process and you have any kind of like facial like earrings, like one piercing is fine, but like if you have like all these extra piercings, like I wouldn't put those or wouldn't leave those in for your interview. Any nose piercings, lip, eyebrow, whatever, take those off. If you have tattoos, make sure those are covered. Of course, once you're on the line, flight attendants kind of do whatever they want when it comes to piercings and tattoos. And so a lot of people don't cover their tattoos anymore once they're on the line, or they just don't do as good of a job. But when you're going through the interview process and when you're in training, like they take that very seriously. So definitely cover all those up and like don't leave any of those in. So sorry I couldn't answer your your question about traveling, but hopefully that answers your question about nose piercings. Okay, and then Sean Blyler, is that how you say your last name? Asked, what happens if you get a run in your tights? Nothing really. I always pack extra tights. Most flight attendants do pack extra tights. If you get a run in your tights on the plane, like there's nothing you can do. Some people will get their suitcase out and change like in the lav, but it's not that big of a deal. If a manager's on board, you're just like, they literally just ripped, like I can't do anything about that. When I wear nude tights though, like a lot of times you can't even tell that there's a run in them if they match your skin color really well. So a lot of flight attendants will just still wear them anyways. And then some flight attendants don't care at all, and they'll just come to work in tights with runs. So nothing really major happens if you get a run in your tights. But I always bring extra, so like say the first day of my trip I get a run in my tights, then the next day I'll put on a new pair. Okay, let's see. Andrew Stevens asked, what music do I listen to? I pretty much listen to everything. There's not really a genre that I don't listen to. I used to never listen to country. It was weird, like I listened to it in high school, and then once I went to college, like never listened to it ever. And then just recently I started listening to it again because my sisters and my brother-in-law is like really big into country. So I guess because I hang out with them, I like hear it some. So now I kind of listen to that again. But probably my favorite genre to listen to would be like indie alternative rock kind of music, or like indie pop or that kind of stuff is probably like my favorite, and what I have most like on my Spotify playlist is probably like that type of music. Okay. Melissa Fowler asked, what are my favorite and least favorite things about the job? Okay, let's see. Favorite things, I love like, I have met some really, really cool people through this job, and like I guess like being able to meet new people and like become friends with people that live nowhere near me is really cool. Like I flew to Amsterdam and I worked a trip to Amsterdam December 2019 and I met some people while I was laying over there that live there, and now like I'm friends with people that live in Amsterdam. Like, so stuff like that, like I really love. Obviously getting to see things that I never thought I would see, or like going to places that I would have never like gone to on my own, but I had to go because I'm working there. I like that it kind of put me out of my comfort zone. When I first started this job, like I never really used to go to restaurants and stuff by myself, and now like I do that all the time. Like I'll go sit down and have a meal by myself, whatever. And I would have never done that like before this job. So I think those are like some of my favorite things about it. Let's see, least favorite. I don't know what my least, it's hard because right now the job is not what it used to be. So I feel like my least favorite things are just like COVID related stuff. I hate having to try to police the mask thing. Like I hate having to tell people to put on their mask. Like I don't want to have to do that. Like I would much rather it just be a choice and I don't have to tell anybody anything. Like, I don't know. I just like the long days and like the trips that we're flying now, we just never used to fly pre-COVID. And so that question is just hard to answer because a lot of the stuff that I just don't like right now is all COVID related. I'm trying to think of what happened like before that was my least favorite. I don't know. I'll keep trying to think of that while I film this video and see if I think of anything, because like I said, it's just such a weird time to like, and like COVID is finally starting to, I think, be on the end side of things. So hopefully a lot of the stuff that I don't like will go away, but and then Melissa also asked, have I ever thought about living on my own? So before I got this job, I wasn't living like completely on my own. I was living with a friend of mine. And then when I got hired, I was like, well, it doesn't make sense for me to pay to live here and also to pay to live wherever I'm gonna be based out of when I'm not ever gonna be like both of those places I'm hardly ever gonna be at, so it doesn't make sense for me to pay for two of them. So that's why I moved all my stuff back into my parents' house. I think in like a few years, if I'm still single, then I may. It's just so much more convenient to live with my parents right now because my dog lives here with them, and then they're who keep him when I'm gone. So he's just comfortable here. It's not a good time to buy a house right now, so definitely not planning on buying one anytime soon. It just doesn't make sense for me to buy a house right now because I'm single and I'm gone like at least 15 days usually out of the month. So it just doesn't really make sense for me to. I think eventually like I will, if I'm still single, like maybe by the time I'm 30, I'll be like, okay, I guess it's time for me to move out. But we'll see. But right now it just doesn't make sense for me to live by myself, and I don't want to spend that money when I'm not gonna be there. Okay. Next question. Okay, this is from, is it Abraham Zalis? They asked, is it possible to commute from overseas? And I did answer this question a little bit in my last video, or I like responded to his their comment on there. And yes, it is possible, but it's hard. I've met a few people that travel or like commute from overseas, like some from like Europe and some just from like the Bahamas. So if you're talking about like transatlantic, yes, there are some people that do it, but it's very hard, especially on reserve. So our first year, like once you're hired as a flight attendant, at least for us, your first year, you're just straight reserve. And right now we are going through negotiations, and they've been talking about possibly doing your first 5 years as straight reserve unless you can hold it off. And most places you are not going to be able to hold it off every single month. There'll be certain months that you'd probably be able to, but yeah, so I mean, doing it on reserve would be really, really hard because you only get 12 days off on reserve. And you know, obviously flying a transatlantic flight is going to be anywhere from like 6 to, who knows, 10, 11, 12 hours for that flight. And so that's like a whole day just to get home. And on reserve, since you only have so many days off, a lot of times they group them really weird. Like sometimes they'll give you 2 blocks of 4 days off and then 2 blocks of 2 days off. And so when you have 2 days off, it's just hard. And then sometimes you get 4 blocks of 3 days off, you know, so, and it's really hard when you're first starting out to get your reserve days like all together. So it's possible, and I know people have done it, but I don't think most of the people I've met that do it have been flying for a while. So they're usually on a line. When you're on a line month, you don't have to fly as much. And you can kind of control how many days you're flying better, so it'd be easier to do that. But I mean, I know some people that they got a crash pad, and if they ever had like 5 days off, they would go home. So they'd maybe go home a couple times like a year. It wasn't like they went home every month. So it really just depends. It's very, very hard to do. And like even just commuting, like a transcon commute is hard. Like, and those flights are like 5-6 hours. It's just hard, and that's a whole nother, it's like a whole nother job because you have to fly standby, like you don't get positive space, and so if you miss a flight, then it's just a lot. So commuting was a lot for me, and I only had an hour and 15-minute flight, so, or hour and a half flight when I commuted both from DC and Philly. I will say Philly was a lot easier to commute in and out of than DC. DC was always like, there was never any open flights, so I would like miss a day at home, or like I remember like when I first started, I had to use a personal day because there was just no way for me to get back. Like I had tried to get back to DC all day and I just like couldn't get on a flight. So I had to use a personal day like when I first started. So commuting is hard. A lot of people do it, but it is like a whole other job. So yeah. Okay. Timothy Smith asked, how would I fit dating into my life, and would I date somebody out of state? So I feel like gone on dates and like hung out with, like, I haven't like dated anybody since I started flying. When I was living in DC, I was with a guy for a few months, but that was hard because I lived in Greenville, I was based out of DC, and I was commuting, and I was like brand new hire when I was hanging out with him, and so I would have to choose, like, do I want to go home on my days off? Do I want to stay and like try and hang out with him? And it was just a lot. And that's kind of how it is, like, with anything. Now that I have a little bit more seniority, I have a little bit more time off, and it's easier for me to get like days I want off. Like before, I couldn't really get weekends off. And so that was another thing, like with he and I, like he would work during the week and I'd be off during the week, but then I'd work on the weekends and he'd be off during the weekends. So it was just like really hard to match up our schedules. And then even like just recently I was like kind of seeing a guy, but it just, right now I am so set in my ways and I like love my schedule, or like, and I have my own like schedule. So when I get back from a trip, the very next day I sleep like all day. I just catch up on all the sleep I lost on my trip, and I don't want to do anything. Like I just want to be by myself, because I'm like, I've literally been with people, like so many people, flights full of people for 3-4 days in a row, and I just want to like be in silence. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to like, it's like a reset button or something. Oh, sorry, I hit the table. So I don't know. Dating is just like, if I date somebody, it's gonna have to be somebody that like does not need to see me all the time, and that doesn't get offended if I'm just like, I don't want to see you today, because I don't know. I could not date someone who's like really clingy and needs to see me all the time. Which that kind of goes with like the would I date someone out of state? Right now, no, I don't think I would, just because I am gone so much, and then when I get home, then to have to travel somewhere else to go hang out with somebody, and then that's just a lot, and I don't think I would want to do that. I think the only way I would do it is if it was like somebody else who could travel, like maybe another pilot or another flight attendant or a pilot or something, and they could like come see, like we could like both kind of travel to see each other. I would, but it just seems like a lot of work that I don't really want to do. Most of the reasons why I don't date right now are really selfish. I just like don't want to deal with it. Dating sounds so unappealing to me right now. So that's pretty much like why I'm single at this point. That could change, but right now I'm just so content like being single, not have to worry about anybody but myself. So yeah, we'll see if that changes anytime soon. I don't know if it will, but okay. Ben, is it Patana asked, once you are an established flight attendant, do you get regular performance reviews? And how do you get, like, how do people get feedback on how we're doing with our job? So, not really. Once you go through training, you're kind of just like thrown out there on your own. So the first 6 months you're on probation, and during those 6 months you're getting, you have a flight service manager. So you're assigned a flight service manager. You go and you do, we call it our in-doc, and they basically tell you like how to bid for trips, which you learn some of the stuff in training, but they kind of re-go over like bidding for trips and the expectations, the uniform expectations, performance expectations, yada, yada, yada. They kind of go over all that. They kind of show you around the base a little bit that you're at, all that stuff. So you meet with them, and then the very next day you're on the line. So you're on call, because we all start out on reserve. So you're either gonna be sitting standby, you're gonna be on a trip, or you're gonna be on call. So you don't, unless you're like actively reaching out to your manager, you're not gonna talk to your manager again until the first, I think it's a 90-day meeting. So after your first 90 days, you meet with your FSM one-on-one and kind of talk about what's going on. How do you feel things have been going? Have you experienced anything that you have questions about? All that kind of stuff. And then you go over any performance reviews. So if you got a missed trip, or if you called out sick, or if you have any kind of points, like you'll kind of talk to your FSM about like what was going on here. In my case, I had a missed trip for that first 90 days because I didn't answer. I had my phone off. I never have my phone on ring, and I have a watch, so it usually like buzzes my watch, but I was asleep and I forgot to put my phone on loud when I was on call, and they called me in the morning. I was sleeping. I woke up and saw that I'd missed a call, and it was like 30 minutes past when they called me, but you have to answer or get in touch with them within 15 minutes, so they had assigned me a missed trip, but I called them back and they were just like, we'll put you on the schedule for like an extra hour or whatever, so that it doesn't take out of your pay. But my manager was like, what's this all about? I was like, oh, I just didn't answer the phone. I was asleep. It wasn't that big of a deal, and that's the only missed trip I've ever had, so. Anyways, so then you do your 90-day meeting. That's one-on-one, and then your 100 or 180 days, whatever that 6-month period ends, you have one final meeting with everybody that was in your NDOC, and you guys just kind of talk about like how the first 6 months were. And also during that time you're supposed to have 2 check rides. I only had 1 during mine, but you're supposed to have 2 check rides, and it's basically a flight service manager from any of the bases can come sit on your plane. They'll check your tablet, make sure it's like FAA, like up to their standards. They'll ask you a couple random questions just to see like if you know what you're doing, and they kind of do a review on how you worked that way. But once probation is done, like that's pretty much it. Unless you're doing a bunch of stuff wrong, like your flight service manager is not going to get in touch with you unless there's an issue or like something they just really need to talk to you about. They will. So customers can give out like above and beyonds or whatever, and so if they do that, that goes to the flight service manager too, that we've been getting like those from passengers, so they can see that. And like sometimes they'll or if like a customer sends in a good review about the flight that we worked, then they can like forward that to us and be like, this passenger said something nice about you. But as far as getting feedback on how we're doing, it comes all from the passengers. So they'll send out a survey to certain flights and just be like, how was your flight attendant, or how was your flight crew? And like there's a whole section on just the flight crew, and that's how we get feedback. And so obviously if there's someone that just keeps getting a bunch of negative feedback, then the manager will be like, what's going on here? But no, once we're on the line, it's just kind of like everything is based on how we want to handle a situation. So we don't really get reviewed or anything like that from a flight service manager. My company is now starting that we need to meet with them. I don't know if it's once a quarter or once a year. I don't remember. But I've never met my flight service manager in Charlotte, and I had only met my flight service manager in Philly once. And then my one in DC, because it was my, when I came out of training and I had to meet with her so many times, like I would talk to her a little bit. But yeah, unless you want to meet your flight service manager, you're not going to meet them. So, like I've had to call my flight service manager in Charlotte with this whole FMLA thing. So I was like, I've never broken a bone before. I don't know what's going on. So she had to help me like get through that process. But yeah, you're not really gonna be seeing your flight service manager that much. And then the only times that they would try to find you, I guess I should say, is whenever, so like when I had done my first year, you get a little pin. So my flight service manager came to find me when that happened. And then I think it's 5 years. When I have flown 5 years, then I'll get another pin, and then 10, and then I don't really know how it goes after that. But so they'll come find you to give you your little pin. But no, we don't really have to sit down with anybody and go over, unless we're just doing a lot of bad things. Okay, and then the last question I have is it was from an account JMTYLR, and it asked, what is my favorite and least favorite position to work? So I love position 1, which if you guys have watched my videos, I fly position 1 a really good bit. Because people either love it or hate it. I love it. It's a lot of work, but it keeps me busy, and that's what I like about it. And it's me and a small group of people, so I can like connect with anywhere from 8 to 20 people that are up there with me. And so I just like it better. So that's definitely my favorite. My least favorite, I don't know, because I haven't flown all the positions yet. Like, I've done all the domestic positions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I haven't flown 5, but I think I would really like 5 on an international. I think I would like that a lot. But I haven't flown it yet. And then I've flown, I think 8 is the only like international wide body position I've flown, I think. And I don't know, I don't remember. It's been so long. So I don't know, out of what I've flown, I would say my least favorite is probably position 3. Just because I feel like I'm just like in the way when I'm position 3, because on the 737, you sit up in the front, and like you can help out the one if they want, but most of the time the number 1 doesn't want help. So I just feel like I'm like in the way all the time. And then you go to the back, and the 2 and 4 like have their jump seats, and you're just like there. And then I don't know, it's just, and it's like you don't really do anything, so other than like push the cart when the service comes. But so that's probably my least favorite position. And then of course a couple of you guys have been asking me about my toe. It's healing really well. It's gotten a lot better. It's still a little bit sore, but I can walk okay in like my tennis shoes and stuff. I haven't tried to put on like my flight attendant heels or my in-flights yet. But my FMLA has been so annoying to try to get processed. So I put it in, and then it wasn't showing up that they had gotten anything for 2 weeks. So I was like, I called them, and they were like, oh, we never got it. So then I had to get it resent, and then they got it. And then it's been like almost 3 weeks since they got it, and they were verifying it. Now it's under medical review, so I don't know if they think like, I don't know. So hopefully all that gets worked out soon, because I'm like tired of dealing with it. But yeah, my foot's doing okay. I think by the next like week or 2, it'll be like, I'll probably be able to do everything I could do before. So yeah, I tried to answer my questions to the best of my ability. Hopefully I answered most of them pretty good. But a couple of you guys were saying you want to see more of like day-to-day stuff, like different shopping hauls, or like what I eat in a day, or random things like that. So I'll try and do more of those videos, like just sporadically, even when I go back to flying, just to like switch it up a little bit. But I feel like you guys are gonna be really bored with that, because I'm just a boring human being. But yeah, so that is all I have for this video. I have a friend that's coming to visit me we think they are, in like a week. I'll probably try and do a video before then, but I was thinking I could do a video showing you guys around Greenville, because I'm gonna be obviously showing her around. She's already been here before, but I was like, maybe I can do a vlog showing you guys all the things I love about my city. I show you guys around other cities, why not show you around mine? So I may do that. But yeah, hopefully you guys got a little bit more insight into the flight attendant world, maybe into my world a little bit too. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!